Yo, what's up tonight, fellas and ladies? How are you guys doing? My name is Stuart Davis. This is a flawed man of God. This is the channel. This is our hangout. This is a place for a casual place for Christians to hang out. It's non-denomination. Well, it's not denominationally specific. It's just a place where Christians can gather, talk about faith, give their input, and it's welcome. Right? We welcome your takes and what's going on. What we're doing right now is we're going through the Bible. It's been a long, multi-year project, reading the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, usually a couple chapters a night. Last night was just one chapter, but we try to give the word at least a fraction of its due, and treat it with that type of respect. But this is a place. This is a place where you can come and chill and get the word and talk about things. I think I already said that. It's been a nice, long but fulfilling week, and tonight is our last stream of the week. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get my my sermon review for Sunday's this past Sunday's sermon, but I do want to put that together. So look for that. Hopefully next week, maybe next week. We'll see. And yeah. So is that the whole thing? Is that the whole intro? No, it's not the whole intro, because what I haven't done is I haven't introduced or haven't welcomed anybody to the show who might not be Christian or might just be interested in learning about being a Christian, and folks who are just new at Christianity, right? Look, I'm not a professional. My 100% of the time disclaimer is I'm not a professional. I'm not a pastor. Haven't been to seminary. I'm not a biblical scholar. I am a layperson. I've been a layperson all my life. I have been a Christian all my life. My experience has been 100% in or as a non-denominational Protestant. So take that for what you will. This is not a place that is supposed to replace church. I'm always going to encourage you to go to church, to be a part of a congregation, a fellowship, and what we know as the bride of Christ, right? This is kind of just an extra place to hang out and give your 2 cents worth and hear me ramble on at times, but more importantly, speak scripture, right? So do not be afraid to contribute to this show. Get in the chat. We've got great folks who will welcome you in there. I will welcome you in there. And while I'm the one talking, you can be chatting, and we are a small enough group that if you put something in that chat box, I will read it and I will respond to it. And like I said, you guys' participation in this makes the show better. It's better when it's not just me talking. I promise you. I'm around me all the time. Usually I'm better with other people. Just saying. All right, so let's get this Thursday started. Carl, we know and love, is here. What's going on, sir? Thad the man is here. Hello, sir. I don't know what to make of that thing you sent me with Sweeney bath soap. It's just, my reaction to that is, Thad, every day, we drift further from God. That's what it feels like sometimes. As a society, why do we do the things that we do? Sin. Also, Monday, I'll come in, or Tuesday, depending on what I'm doing softball wise, I'll come in a little bit cleaner cut. I'm getting a little raggedy back down here in the neck area, starting to be a neck beard. Don't want to do that. All right, so last night we did chapter 40. We were planning on doing 40 and 41, but we just had so much to talk about with chapter 40 that we were really right in an hour when we were wrapping things up. And so we decided to I decided, not we. I decided that we would read 41 tonight on its own. And maybe we'll do 42, but since these are so much like Psalms, it seems like we're just doing the one. But 40 was about blessings, I think. Let me go back. Let me try to remember. As I said, it's been a long week. A lot happening. So my ADHD brain needs to get back in the groove. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. Understanding God to the degree that we're expected to understand him, and respecting his place and honoring him for who he is and not forgetting about him. um Thad said, oh, okay, because all right, so here's what we were talking about. Here's a little background on what we were talking about. So Thad sent me a link on Twitter that apparently Sydney Sweeney is selling soap made from her own bathwater, which to me is disgusting, right? Just the idea of someone's bathwater being in a soap, right? When the whole idea is to be clean. But we all understand the simping behind this, right? Or maybe it's a joke. I don't know, but whatever. But Dad goes, I'd rather have Bathsheba's. And so Thad's chat said, one time I called into Good Logic's show to talk to him about Jews' views of David. Someone sent in a super chat that David Sin was buying Bathsheba's bathwater. That's pretty funny, actually. So it just reminded me of that. That's a very funny super chat. I like that. So, yeah, that was one of his sins. Obviously we know he made another mistake, kind of getting ahead of himself and understanding his place in things. And understanding that David, as great of a man as he was, as much as God loved him, like a man after his own heart, David was still flawed. David was still able to sin and let God and his people down. Let himself down. And he was punished as a result. So David, and this is why we remember to give grace to ourselves as well. As great as David is, and he messed up, of course the Israelites would be much worse, because we know where they've been. We know that they were terrible coming out of Egypt. We knew that they were terrible during the exile. We knew that they were up and down terrible during the time of the judges. And then after the split, and what led up to what we're seeing with Isaiah that we're reading tonight, is a constant forgetfulness about God's primacy. It didn't take long for them to lose faith after Moses went up to Mount Sinai to converse with the Lord. and they were making golden cows as a result. Disappointing, to say the least. So it didn't take Israel long, and it didn't take Judah long to forget about God in their day to day life. And the more complacent we get, the worse we tend to sin. Because we don't stay disciplined, we don't respect the idea that temptation is out there. We don't respect that God wants us to resist it. And we give in and we compromise our principles and we become complacent and we drift. Where does that leave us? Well, look around you, right? So that was last night's. So we're going to get into tonight's chapter, which is 41, which starts off Israel encouraged. Okay, good. It's always nice to get these little bright spots in Isaiah because there's a lot of doom posting in Isaiah. It just is. The kids would call it black pill. He's very very black pilled. So it's nice when we get a little bit of white pilling here. Israel encouraged. Listen to me in silence, you islands and coastlands. Hang on. Listen to me in silence, you islands and coastlands, and let the nations gain their strength. Let them come near, then let them speak. Let us come together for judgment and decide the issue between us concerning the enemy from the east. Who is stirred up and put into action from the east? The king of Persia, Cyrus the Great, whom he calls in righteousness to his service, and whom victory meets at every step? The Lord turns nations over to him and subdues kings. He makes them like dust with his sword, like a wind-driven chaff with his bow. He, Cyrus, pursues them and passes along safely by a way his feet have not traveled before. Who has performed and done this, calling forth and guiding the destinies, the generations of the nations from the beginning? I, the Lord, the first, and with the last, existing before history began, the ever-present, unchanging God. I am He. Very important to remember that last part here. I am He. Sorry. No, I interrupted the reading. The islands and coastlands have seen and they fear. The ends of the earth tremble. They have drawn near and have come. They help, or they each help his neighbor and say to his brother as he fashions his idols, be of good courage. So the craftsman encourages the goldsmith, and he who smooths metal with the smith's hammer encourages him who beats the anvil, saying of the soldering, that is good. And he fastens the idol with nails, so that it will not totter nor be moved. But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the offspring of Abraham, my friend. You, whom I, the Lord, have taken from the ends of the earth and called from its remotest parts, and said to you, you are my servant. I have chosen you and have not rejected you, even though you are exiled. Do not fear anything, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Be assured I will help you. I will certainly take hold of you with my righteous right hand, a hand of justice, of power, of victory, of salvation. Indeed, all those who are angry with you will be put to shame and humiliated. Those who strive against you will be as nothing and will perish. You shall search for those who quarrel with you, but will not find them. They who war against you will be as nothing at all. For I, the Lord your God, keep hold of your right hand. I am the Lord, who says to you, do not fear. I will help you. Do not fear, you worm, Jacob, you men of Israel. I will help you, declares the Lord, and your Redeemer is the Holy One of Israel. In fact, I have made of you a new sharp threshing instrument with sharp edges. You will thresh the mountains and crush them, and make the hills like chaff. You will winnow them, and the wind will carry them away, and a high wind will scatter them. But you will rejoice in the Lord. You will glory in the Holy One of Israel. The poor and needy are seeking water, but there is none. Their tongues are parched with thirst. I, the Lord, will answer them myself. I, the God of Israel, will not neglect them. I will open rivers on the barren heights and springs in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a reed pool of water, and the dry land springs of water. I will put the cedar in the wilderness, the acacia, the myrtle, and the olive tree. I will place the juniper in the desert, together with the box tree and the cypress, so that they may see and know and consider and understand together that the hand of the Lord has done this, that the Holy One of Israel has created it. Present your case for idols made by men's hands, says the Lord. Produce the evidence of divinity, says the King of Jacob. Let them bring forward their evidence and tell us what is going to happen. Regarding the former events, tell what they were, that we may consider them and know their outcome, or announce to us the things that are going to come. Tell us the things that are going to come afterward, that we may know that you are gods. Indeed, you should do something good or do evil, that we may be afraid and fear you together as we observe the miracle. Hear this: you idols are less than nothing, and your work is worthless. The worshiper who chooses you as a god is repulsive. I have stirred up and put into action one from the north, the king of Persia, Cyrus the Great, and he has come. From the rising of the sun, he will call on my name in prayer, and he will trample on the Babylonian officials as on mortar, even as a potter treads clay. Who among the idols has declared this from the beginning, so that we could know? Or from earlier times, so that we could say, he is unquestionably right? In fact, there was no one who declared it. Indeed, there was no one who proclaimed it. There was no one at all who heard you speak, for you pagan gods are speechless. I was the first to say to Zion, listen carefully. Here they are, the Jews who will be restored to their own land. And to Jerusalem I will provide a messenger, Isaiah, to bring the good news that Cyrus will be stirred up and put into action to save them. But when I look on the pagan prophets and priests, there is no one who could predict these events, and there is no counselor among them who, if I ask, can give an answer. In fact, all of these pagan prophets and priests are false. Their works are worthless. Their cast images are merely wind and emptiness. There we go. So, what do we say? Encouragement for Israel. We also see a continuation of kind of what they were talking about with the a continuation of what they were talking about in chapter 40, right? It seems like the focal point of so much of Israel's problems is the fact that they were always kind of drawn into what everybody around them was doing. Oddly, because the whole idea and identity behind them being set aside, what God did when he brought them into Canaan, they kicked everybody else out. Well, mostly everybody else out. They were supposed to kick everybody out and wipe them out. They were set aside, right? And to some degree, that became a cultural thing for them. But what they also did was look and think the grass is greener in Moab, right? And some of these other nations. And when we see, we'll talk about it when we get there, God kind of references one of these things. But another big one is worshiping the pagan gods of the nations around them. And so much of their brokenness comes from that. And I think that's just a desire that they can't do everything they want to. Were the Israelites the first lawbritarians? It's worth thinking. Is that why they had such a problem with all this? They couldn't do everything that they wanted to. God's got rules? What? Why? Shouldn't mean freedom from consequences. Right? Why would God do this? I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, well, there's your liberty right there. But what did Israel create? What did Judah create in behaving that way? A nation worthy of punishment, just like the other ones. So Israel is encouraged to listen to me in silence, you islands and coastlands. I don't know exactly what that reference part is, but basically, shut up and listen. Okay. Maybe it's like, hey, let's all get together. Let's have everybody come up together and have their say. Right. And this is kind of, again, this is God kind of flexing. At least that's the impression I get throughout this chapter, throughout this prose here, that God is trying to get across. Everybody, come on, let's huddle up. Come on, get together. All right, let's talk about this. Which one of y'all got Persia gallivanting around and conquering people, winning battles and stuff? Which one of y'all is the one that he's calling on for victory? Oh, it's me, right? The Lord. I did that, right? I'm the one who's given him victory. I'm the one he cries out to. And I deliver those nations into him, right? And because of that, Cyrus passes safely through, and he's going places he's never gone before. Which one of you guys has put all this into motion? Which one of you guys, and I'm not calling any of you guys Calvinists here, which one of y'all predestined all this to happen? Which one? Oh, again, it was me, the Lord. Not all of you nations, not all of you false gods, not all of you demons. I did it. The beginning and the end, Alpha and Omega. And then I am He. I am He. It's very important. This is a very important part. I think he's talking about the islands and coastland nations. But these other pagan nations and islands are trying to take strength in the fact that there are lots of them and that they do have idols, right? So they're like, hey, take heart. I know the Lord is right in all the things that he said, but we can stand against him, right? That's what he said. The craftsman encourages the goldsmith, and he encourages the other guy who smooths the metal, beating the anvil and the soldering. He goes, oh, this looks great. It's all great. And we're gonna put it in place squarely and firmly with nails. It says, you, my servant Israel, or you, Israel, my servant, and he calls Jacob, whom I have chosen, tribes of folks, offspring of Abraham, my friend. As I was reading that, there was one thing I just really want. I always kind of pause and appreciate imagine God calling you, referring to you as his friend. Right? And not just one-on-one, but as an example to other people. Abraham, my friend. Where all these promises kind of started. Or many of these promises started. That's just, again, Abraham, what a blessing, right? So I've called, taken from the ends of the earth, and called from his remotest parts, and said to you, you are my servant, and chosen you, and not rejected you, even though you are exiled. Do not, even though all this stuff has happened, even though your punishment is coming down, don't be afraid. I'm here. I'm still your Lord. None of this has changed. I am still your God. I have still made this covenant with you. You might not be fulfilling your end, but I'm fulfilling my end. I did say that there would be consequences. Don't fear. Don't be afraid. I will strengthen you and hold you next to me, and you will see justice, power, victory, and salvation. Indeed, all those who are your enemies are going to be embarrassed and sent away, it sounds like. Those who work against you, I'm going to break them. Right? Those who go to war against you will be nothing as nothing at all. For I am the Lord, right? I'm the Lord your God. And what has God all God, the angels, it seems like everybody from heaven, it's like, do not fear. I will help you. Right? When they're trying to get people to listen. Usually when they're coming down with bad things, when they're coming down saying um with kind of some negative outcomes, they're not trying to get you to listen. They're just there to punish you. Again, there's some like moments. We just saw one, I think, a couple of chapters ago when Isaiah tells Hezekiah, "It's like, hey, God said you're going to die, right? Sorry about your luck, but this is what's going to happen." That might have been to get Hezekiah's uh, attention. Who knows? In fact, I've made you a new made of you a new sharp threshing implement with sharp edges. Okay, there's a footnote here. A heavy, flat wooden sledge composed of several thick boards with sharp pieces of flint or metal embedded on one side. It was dragged over harvested stalks of grain to separate the kernels from the straw. Here we go. Where did we come from on that? You will thresh the mountains and crush them and make the hills like chaff. That's like, okay, so you've got this new technology that you're going to use to basically dominate not just the valleys and the plains and everything, but mountains and hills, right? Increasing your ability to take advantage of the land that you have. But you will rejoice in the Lord. And then he talks about the poor and needy needing water. They're thirsty. The Lord God will answer them myself and not neglect them. And then he's talking about open rivers and springs. God's providing. People are in need. God is providing. And then he's kind of putting things together. And when he's talking about the cedar, the acacia, the myrtle, putting all there, and the juniper in the desert, it very much has a Job kind of feel to it. I put this stuff together. I make it work. I make it make sense. You just look upon it in awe. But I'm the one who puts it all together. And I think the build up to that, kind of like Job, or like in Job, to say, you don't have any comprehension of what I can do or why I do the things I do. But here, the build up for that is to right here. Now that I've discussed all of this tiny fraction of what I can do, here's the other thing for you. All you nations, all you pagans out there with your weird idols and practices and godly, real godlessness. Prove to me, show me the evidence that your gods are God. Let's see. This is kind of like the was it Elijah or Elisha? I always get the two confused. Where they said, "Oh, they puts him to the test. Right? Is your God sleeping? Maybe he's tired. Maybe he's in the bathroom." Now we see God kind of making this claim. Come forward. Show me. Tell us, prophesize to us. Show me where in the past you've prophesied and it's come true. Tell us right now what's going to happen so we can just kind of consider that. Oh, okay, maybe we'll write that down, see if it ever happens. Go ahead, just start doing that. That would be some evidence. That would be something. We're just trying to say, just show me you have any power. You should be able to do something, whether it's, he even says, you should do something good or do evil, right? You said some power. Let's see it. Come on, snap. Put it together to make a liar out of you. If you are, we'll be afraid because I've already said that these guys are impotent and powerless. And then if I'm wrong, that means that they are something beyond my control and understanding and knowledge. And that's worthy of fear. But here's the bottom line. The idols are less than nothing. And the work that you do making them and nailing them down and worshiping them and using them as an excuse to do all the heinous things that you do, worthless. It all is worthless. And the folks worshiping these idols are repulsive. And just as a reminder, Cyrus the Great's on the move. In 25, there's a footnote here where it says, hang on. One from the north has come. It even knows that. Cyrus originally came from the east, but defeated a number of kingdoms north of Babylon early in his reign. So that's where he's coming out of. And he's going to whoop up on Babylon while calling on my name. And then he's like, I've put all this into motion. I prophesied all this. Isaiah's speaking to them about this. Who else is saying this? Who else will know? Right? Who else will know that even though Persia's in the east, he's going to come from the north because that's where he's going to those are the places that he's going to conquer. Who else is calling on that? Any of you guys? None of you, right? Because you're all just pieces of metal or pieces of wood. Right, Kitty? Kitty agrees. Meow. But if any of you guys have prophesied it before, show me. Show me. And we're like, hey, he was right. Right? But the fact is, nobody's done that. Just me. And because y'all can't say anything at all. Because all you are worthless totems. God goes on and talked about how he was the one who said that the Israelites would be restored to their own land. And he would provide Isaiah. And Cyrus would be his instrument of restoration. And he says, none of the pagan priests could do that because everything they say is just conjecture or made up because they're not hearing anything. Their cast images are merely wind and emptiness. Vanity. Vanity. All is vanity. And there you have it. And the bottom, the footnote here in 27, when he was talking to say, hey, I was the one who prophesied all this. This prophecy was declared about 150 years before it occurred. So it's not like, oh, this stuff is imminent. Anybody could guess that this would happen. Okay. No, not in this case. In this case, it's like, no, this is going to happen 150 years from now. In God's time. Because time is God's. And there you have it. That's our reading for tonight. It's actually been a kind of a short. Y'all guys been quiet. It's been an ultra small group past couple of weeks. Views have been down. I guess everybody's hanging out for the summer. But we're still chewing away at this. We're still going through this. And yeah. All right. So Thad, Carl, thanks guys. Thanks guys for tuning in, being part of the show. Everybody who is listening, I encourage you to be part of the chat. But I understand you might not want to or be able to. I'm just glad you're here, right? I'm just glad you're getting something out of this, and that you keep coming back. And to everybody who's catching this on replay, sorry I missed you, but thank you for watching. Hope to catch you live sometime soon. Everybody have a great, safe, productive, fun, relaxing, wholesome, faithful weekend. Make sure you guys go to church. Go to church, y'all. Good night. God bless.